pinnacle of human perfection.
Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I looked away and I saw that I had the short intro in there, so my apologies. That's just live for you. So anyway, I have Alexis back with me. And how are you doing today, Alexis?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you for asking. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Oh, I got some yellow. It looks like my signal's yellow for some reason. Anyway, people are hopping in here. People are able to see. So hopefully it'll turn green here really soon. So I normally do, like we do a weekly update, Michelle Wolf, that's on Tuesdays, but she wasn't feeling well. So if you guys can keep her in your prayers or your thoughts and send her some loving energy, that would be awesome. And she could really use it. So we have Alexis here. She's been sort of keeping an eye on stuff so we can catch up for anything we've missed this week. Nothing too nothing too crazy, right?
I mean, in my own personal life, no, but I've definitely have seen some crazy readings on the geomagnetics and things like that this week. So I wouldn't be surprised if other people were having a very interesting week with their whole body, mind, and spirit. It was but very cohesive. Like when the field gets all mixed up, it's kind of like the theory is we get our own sort of we get to be in our own space, and the collective actually is more in sync with each other. So maybe there was some really good advancements.
Yeah, I just looked at the Schumann. It looks like we had a few blasts, but nothing really off the charts. I have been feeling tired, waves of tiredness. Of course, I only slept 6 hours last night, so I'm a little sleepy, but I'm short on sleep. So that would explain that, pretty natural. But what have you been hearing as far as people having symptoms? Anything odd or?
Anything odd? No, just the regular. A lot of people have been having trouble. They've been very sleepy and tired. It seems like it's a recovery stage, a recovery time. Perhaps even just a little bit of adjustments being made with our DNA. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's always good to hear because it's just going to keep people going forward on their path, on their growth, and we'll be hearing more about it later this week. I haven't done a video in a couple days, so I haven't seen exactly how people are feeling.
Yeah, I kind of disappeared. I had a few emails and stuff, and I was so involved with. I've been working on this newer video that for upload, and it takes so much longer
Yeah.
to upload than just you stream. You got to leave all the mess ups in there or whatever, but you're pretty much done when you're done. And then coming up with content, you got to do all the research, and then you got to get all the clips that you want to use to sort of paint this picture you're trying to do. And after Monday's show was canceled, and then Tuesday's show was rescheduled for next Tuesday with Michelle, and then Wednesday I had originally had Allison co-scheduled, so it was like I didn't realize I just disappeared for like 3 days. But I've been working on this video. It just takes so long. It's like creating a documentary, and so much goes into it. And then when you're all finished and you do all the editing, then you got to spend like an hour or two like rendering it, and then it's like so much more time to upload a video and create content that way than it is to sort of get on here and have a conversation. You guys join in. I like this much better. It's quicker and it's more interactive, but at the same time, you can do a lot more to paint a better picture when you're like working on something to upload, so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did a big shoot with Geraldine Orozco, and I don't know if you've heard her name before, but she's moving into the community, and I'm seeing more and more of her work about her work with meditation, but she's had all of these abduction experiences and um, basically explain the universe in a video. And I'm just like dreading having to render and export and edit this video because it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a doozy, but I'm excited to share it. So you'll have
Oh,
to
that's
let me know
awesome.
what you think about it when I get it up.
That's awesome. Do you know when you're going to have it finished?
I'm
Is
gonna
it?
start working on it today. It shouldn't be, and then we'll see how many hours it takes. Because honestly, it's so crazy how long it takes, and that's why I want to start doing these on my channel more too. Because you're just like, boom, done, and you don't have to touch it anymore.
Yeah, it really is nice. Once I started live streaming, I was able to do like almost a video per day. But before that, it was like it would take me a whole week to get, just even a 30 or 40-minute video. And this one's probably going to be like that too, 30 or 40 minutes. And I've been working on it since Sunday or Monday I started on it, and I haven't even started. I've just been collecting the information that I'm going to put in it. I haven't even started actually editing. I haven't recorded my audio yet. I mean, I'm almost at that point to start recording it, but it's a lot of work, and I know Michelle Wolf, she's done a video, so she's done one of these that you have to sort of produce, and it's so much more work. And I like trying to fit in the live stream because it is only like an hour out of the day that I can still be putting out the live stream while I'm working on other videos. So I try to do one a week that I'm fitting in between the live streams, and I've had more time to work on it because of the cancellations this week or whatever. But Alice and Co will be back. Michelle, I started to say Michelle's opinions because she's in the chat. Michelle Wolf will be back, and I think let's see. Next week we have big guest next week. Was it Allison? She's either next week or it actually be. Oh, I think it's Magenta Pixie is next week. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
going to be huge. So really excited about that. We've been trying to get her on for a couple of months, so it's really fun to sort of put all this together and be a content creator. This is awesome, and it's my passion. And that sort of moves me in an email that I got earlier where someone was talking about, trying to make money and trying to survive and pay bills and everything, and wondering sort of what direction to go. And I just sort of hit them back with, I think you should maybe not make your decisions based on the money, but on your passion and what you feel like your purpose is. Because when you do that, I feel like you have higher help that comes in and says, we'll take care of everything else. You just do what you're supposed to be doing. And that's what I've been doing. And I know that a lot of times things can happen, like you can get fired unexpectedly or something, and it's like a catalyst to move you maybe into what you should be doing. So have you been noticing that sort of thing happening with people?
Yes, I've noticed that's been an interesting pattern, especially in more of the, at least in the clicks that I've been in and around. It was early. It seems like this summer there was a lot of people who sort of got extracted out of their jobs that they've had a long time, out of homes, out of relationships, out of like states, like they were moving and grooving and really didn't have much of a direction or understanding of what's going to fall in their lap next and when they're going to have their next influx of abundance. And it was hard to do readings for people like that because I want to give them the good news. I want to be able to help them because I know from experience how hard that is. And thankfully, the readings I was giving, the stuff I was channeling was telling them that things are coming in quick. And then a couple days later, they'd message me and be like, "Oh, I got this new opportunity, and oh, I'm gonna move in with this friend, and oh, I'm doing this now. I'm starting my business." And I'm just like, it's beautiful to be on both sides of it because so emotionally connected to it, but then getting to see it follow through and work off like every time, you know, it's a blessing.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think it's like that. It can seem horrible, like your world is being disrupted, but that's sort of the purpose. You know what I mean? It's supposed to get you out of whatever you're doing. Maybe you're just doing your 9 to 5 grind for the money, but there's like a higher purpose that you have, and it's your just I don't know. Sometimes the universe has a way of pushing us towards where we need to be.
It's true. And I think it's happening on a increased rate. And I don't know if people in the comments would agree with that, but it was interesting. It was interesting to see the pattern unfolding as it was happening to me. And then I would have like 5 sessions where it was happening to everybody else. And I was like, this must be an ascension wave or something. Like this is a big pattern.
Yeah, because a lot of times, you're just if you're making the money to pay your bills or whatever, and you hate your job and you're resonating in that horrible feeling that you have if you're working in a job you don't like, but you're like, I've got bills to pay, I can't just quit or whatever. Sometimes you need outside help to, why did I get fired? I was, maybe you broke down on the way to work and you were late and you get fired or whatever, and it seems horrible. Like, why is everything going wrong? But, they're taking a step back and looking at it from a higher perspective. It might be a good thing to try to put an optimistic look on it. The glass is half full, not empty.
It's true. And it's like the way that things were working for you, that's not going to work anymore. But you've been practicing and learning how to manifest what your dreams are and how to work from your heart, and it's like putting you to the test, and it's sort of removing you from the mind and being like, this is what I should do because this is what I've always done. It's like, no, you're getting a chance right now to make a new start. What does your heart want? What does your gut want? Like, meditate, quiet your mind, see how you really feel about a decision. Emotions.
Yeah, I tell my kids, I'm like, whenever you think about a career or what you want to do as far as a job, just imagine what you would do for free. What do you want to do for free?
Ooh.
And then go from there. Because if you're doing what you would want to do for free and getting paid for it, then I would say that's more of your heart or your purpose. Because if you love creating art, which is sort of what motivated me, I loved making videos and art, and I just loved making music, everything. I just loved creating things, whether it was audio or visual. And this is a combination of both, doing this here and then bringing people together. I love doing that. And this is sort of like bringing all of that together, because sometimes I can make little funny animations. I know you said you like to make memes and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's that creative part of you that sort of comes out. And I would, I would do it for free. In fact, I did it for free for a while. I've got, thank God I've got people that believe in what I'm doing, and, they contribute. And, I'm so thankful for that, because we still have bills to pay, you know what I mean? But I'm doing what I love to do. And I think anybody should, pursue that, really think about it. And like you said, meditate and really go inside yourself and say, what do I really want to do? Because this whole channel thing for me was sort of like, I never would have thought it would have grown into this. This was this like idea that popped in my head. You know what? I think I'm going to do this, and that sounds fun. And and I would have never imagined it would be so fulfilling, and that I would end up having 10,000 subscribers at a certain point. And I just figured I'd just do it and talk to a few dozen people, maybe. You know what I mean? But I think people really resonate with you, and you'll find that if you move into your heart space, people can sense that about what you're doing. That you know you're doing what resonates with you, and it resonates with other people, and they can actually feel that, and they want to be a part of it. And that's beautiful.
That's true. And how long have you been doing your channel and doing the live streams? Because you have 12,000 subscribers now. So that's quite a collective you've been able to amass with your vibration and your soul fam, your tribe.
Yeah, I actually started the channel in February of 2017, and then I started doing live streams last summer. So
Damn. And
yeah.
so you've just been doing them every day, and it's just like they just come.
Yeah, just pretty much having people on and helping other people that's just getting their channel started, like Jose and Eileen from One. And she always had wonderful things to say in the comments. I'm like, you need to start your own channel, and she did. And I was able to promote her. And so the same way with Jose, she would come on. She was just the moderator at first, but now she does channels where they all chat and have a good time. And, I don't even have time to go and check everybody out because I'm so busy with my own content creation. But I do check everybody out from time to time. Um, but it's great to be able to promote other people that are, just getting started, and say, oh, hey, check this person out or this person. So that's awesome.
It's definitely something I look forward to doing more and more. And even with just the following I've been working on so far, I'm like, come on channel. Tell everybody how awesome you are. I want everyone to know, and let's grow our community. It's so much more fun. Like, otherwise it's kind of lonely for some people to it's hard to reach and bridge those gaps because a lot of it's online. It's hard to you can't just walk into a room full of people who are all going to enjoy what your content and your art is. So it's really nice that you have such an open heart to do the same thing, because I definitely resonate with that.
Yeah, I like sort of putting a hand down. Lori Lothian says I helped her hit 1,000 subscribers. that's awesome. You know what I mean? And I was like, I came across your video, and Lori's another one that, I just came across her stuff. She was just bubbling with energy, and it's like, I have to have her on sometime and stuff. So Michelle's Opinion, she's in here. She's a content creator, and it's wonderful. It's like, a great little community, and I'm always happy to help people out. So I remember what it was like. I had actually Unirock was a YouTuber. He had like 700 or 800 subscribers when I was at like 100 or 200 or something. And he actually, I don't even think I'd hit 100. He had me on, and he bumped me up like I don't know, a dozen or two subscribers. So yeah, I had a hand up too. So it helps if we all help each other out. It's like a little community. It's really cool.
It is.
So, okay, so you do the readings and stuff. You want to do a reading for just like a general reading for the day? Can you do stuff like just a single card for us as a collective or something? That'd
Absolutely.
be kind of cool.
That's what I like to do at the beginning of my little broadcasts. Is very beginning, I like to do a card reading, and generally it's one or two cards, but I don't really have any control over how many cards fly out of the deck. So sometimes it's four, but generally I like to keep it to one or two. So since I haven't done it today, I would love to do it here and see what kind of message we get for August 30th, 2018. We'll see. So, dear sirs, I would like a card for. Oh, there it goes. All right. So, today we have been gifted the Strength card, the 11, and it says, "We have great inner strength, release harsh judgments, forgiveness, and compassion."
Oh, that's awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, because we've been dealing with, you did that reading for me about that pressing issue, and I did carry out that pressing issue that I really didn't want to do because it was divisive in a way, but in a way it was sort of important because it was pointing out division. So just to leave it at that. But I got it done. I was happy to do it. People were very supportive, and so it went well, even though I just really would have rather just stayed away from that sort of thing. I was happy I did it. I knew I needed to do it, and it's done. So
It happened.
so thanks for the reading with that, the confirmation. There was actually one point when I was just going to leave it alone, and I thought back to that reading, and then I had a few other little synchronistic things that popped up and that were all saying, do it. So anyway, I did it. I made it through, so it can be rough. But yeah, strength, I think, is a good one because as a community, we're stronger together when we come in together with unity. And you said it was an 11 card?
Yes,
Or
this is the 11th card and the Archangel Ariel, if anyone's interested in knowing. But yeah, the inner strength, which is, I think, goes well with the question you also had emailed to you too, being like, it takes a lot of inner strength to be able to choose your true path and be authentic in your choices and take those opportunities, as scary as they can be. It's another big part of this card is releasing harsh judgments and having forgiveness and compassion. So I'm curious if you've been noticing that there's been an increase or perhaps a perturbance in the force, the collective consciousness about judgment lately. I know we're really working on that as a group.
yeah, what do you guys think? I'll let the chat. Yeah, there's been I think an uptick in judgment, and yeah, so definitely need to be strong and stick together and not judge other people for the views they have. I mean, it's totally, everybody's on their own path, and we should all respect everyone with where they're at. So I think that's a great card. I think it's very fitting. I can't think of a better card, actually. So that's awesome.
Well, I noticed actually since Mars, we've had a lot of planets in retrograde this last few months. Throughout the summer, all the planets kind of went in, like five or six of them went into retrograde. So a lot of people's lives, China kind of just went, "Ugh," and stopped and got reset, and a lot of things changed. And we've moved forward with the planet Mars, which is an aggressive and sort of fiery energy. And I noticed that a lot of people were actually kind of ticked and like pissed. And it was kind of funny because I was like, well, I'm noticing it's more and more how I'm watching astrology, being like, wow, like this is interesting how the planetary movements can actually cause emotional and things to kind of show up around. And I was noticing a lot of people were getting triggered about things and more judgments. And so I think we're
Yeah.
getting over it now. We're getting used to this Martian energy moving forward.
Yeah, because it's really close too. I did a video a few weeks back where it was just where I took some pictures of it, and it's so big and close and bright in the sky. So I can imagine if it has some effect on us, it being closer will definitely increase the energies coming from that. Plus, we're all on one side of the sun right now still for another, few weeks or something, or another week, I guess, or something, before they start the planets start to move on the other side of the sun. So I can imagine all that energy being sort of lopsided like that would have an effect. I just haven't really been into like the astrology part of it, just more of the scientific part, So
Right.
it's really nice to have someone that knows about that stuff. Even like Peace Dealer, that guy is so incredible with all the knowledge he has. The guy you were on with, and it's just amazing how much knowledge he has about that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like really incredible. And I had no idea about him, you know.
And yesterday I did a live stream with a man named Philip Daniel Miles, and he's in the UK, and his astrology knowledge is extremely adept too. And I was just like, man, like, and he was talking about like basically past, you would most likely had past lives where you had been studying this before, because I the fluidity of it all and the intuitiveness of it, I'm like, yep, you clearly got something going on. I feel like you've done this before.
That's cool. Yeah, I would have gotten more into that, but with religion or whatever, that's
Yes.
evil or whatever, That's how we're raised, It's like, I didn't even know my sign until like a year ago. I remember growing up, like, what sign are you? I'm like, I don't know. When's your birthday? And like, oh, you're an Aries. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I forget, because it's just all like foreign to me or whatever. But yeah, now I know I'm an Aries, and I remember that March 30th. And I'm a life path 9. I didn't know. Are you into the life path numbers too?
I have looked up my life path number and I believe I'm a 9 too. So there you go.
Oh,
We found each
awesome.
other.
The 9s coming, unite the 9s. But that's another thing, because we have this tendency to want to group, you know what I mean? Like it's just this natural thing to want to sort of group together. But that's sort of the whole purpose of the channel, is to rise above those tendencies to want to get off on our own and group together, and to just kind of come together as one. Because it's all division. And once you see how the system works, which is the video I'm working on right now, talks about how you can tell when something's of this sort of higher unified mindset, because everything from religion to politics to race and culture and everything is designed to make us divide and separate. Everything is based in separation. And that's sort of like the main thing we need to conquer, is that need to want to separate us and them, and all of that. Because no matter what you look at, the system, it's all these false dichotomies with, like, politics. You got to be this party or this party, instead of just rising above it. It's like they purposely have us fighting each other, you know what I mean? So, and they being the powers that are sort of running the world.
Yeah. I definitely noticed that pattern on myself. I would agree with you very much. And I'm glad. I was going to ask you about your project and being like, did you want to give us a hint on what you're working on? So
Are you
maybe
familiar with the wing makers material?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. It's really cool. They found this ancient site that had like this time capsule with all this art and music and this information. And it looked like people from 700 years in the future went back like 1100 years and buried it from our time point right now. And it's us from
Wow.
700 years in the future. They buried this stuff, to get us to wake up from this hologram of deception that we're in. and it's all based in separation. So it's really interesting, and it was hidden for a while, and I've covered it before, so I'll have links to that, but it really ties into what I've been dealing with, and with the fact that we have enough proof now that we're sort of in this hologram of deception or simulation or matrix, like people want to call it. And it really does answer a lot of the questions in science that we, like spooky action at a distance and the double slit experiment and all of these things in science that are sort of like anomalies to how we view things, or Einstein's theory. So it's going to sort of get into that and tie all that in together. And it's so much work because I know what I'm trying to convey, but to get all the clips to go with what I want to say. And, it really needs to, it's so complex that I really need to paint a picture very well to get people to really understand it. So it is a form of art, being a content creator many times, because you could just put pictures up there, but they've really got to sort of paint that picture in people's mind of what you're trying to get across. And it's not like I'm trying to push this agenda, but I'm trying to present it well, where people can say, well, this is a possibility, so it's crazy.
It's kind of funny how, as a creator, you can get there, you realize how much work it is, and to convey and talk about, and truly such a simple truth about literally the entire universe. It's so simple, and it's crazy how convoluted, and everything is just from this one distortion that we're separate from, you know, from source, or from, a creator or something, how that's created all of this.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's in its own way, it's its own piece of artwork, but we're like, we don't want to do it like this anymore. We got to change the canvas. We got to change how it's being painted, because it's not as much fun anymore.
Totally. And it's so funny because I was thinking one day, like as being a baby or whatever, and I'm like, you know what, from the moment we're born, we're taught separation. I mean, every
Yeah.
little thing you're taught is a division of your knowledge. So, at first when you're seeing just like lights and colors or whatever, you divide in your mind, you notice faces, right, from everything else, and then you notice like mom from dad's face, and then as you grow older and stuff, you're like, well, that's red, that's blue, and everything you learn is a separation of a sort. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it just popped in my head one day, and I'm like, wow, this is like an uphill battle we have to sort of undo all of that.
And that's a really good point. And I'm kind of, my gears are turning for sure. I'm just like, wow, okay. So it's almost as if, like, the beauty of this place is the fact that we are able to like separate into all of these different things, but the knowledge that it's all from the same thing is where we don't, it gets lost. So it's like, this is the only truth, but that's the whole distortion in the end. It's very cool.
Right. And getting to the point where the diversity is just more beauty, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not so much, those people and those people, different races and colors and religions and stuff, because that's sort of how we're taught. We're taught like it's them and us. And that's the separation thing, instead of just looking at the beauty of the diversity of it. You know what I mean? And it's like that's what we're trying to undo, the sort of the separate part of it. I mean, because we have to learn what things are. So we have to learn that separation, but just to realize that we're all part of the same thing at the end of the day, and there's no one that's more important than anyone else. And I view like God as like everything, and I view it like it's an ocean. Like if you can think of the ocean, and we're all like little drops of water of that ocean, and everything is. And it's like if everything went back into the ocean, it would just turn into the ocean. You wouldn't have like white people and black people, like separate water molecules, and it would just become all the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really cool, because I think that's maybe even what Jesus was saying when he was like talking about you have to become like little children again and stuff, because little children don't really divide over stuff like that. They're just like, oh, look at that kind of person, whatever. I've never seen that type of person. That's so cool. And it's like more of a cool thing when they see diversity than it is like, oh, who are they? They're not part of us, you know. That's sort of taught by the parents and society or whatever, you know. So
It's so true. And even when they're so tiny, like barely even able to move their darn heads, it starts, and it really is such an interesting battle on, like, for the entire collective to remember and not reprogramming this separation. But I like the ocean metaphor. That one's a really good one, really easy to grasp.
I would love to take credit for it, but actually, it's in one of the Gnostic texts. It was a parable of Jesus, and it was a parable of the fish, and the fish were asking, "What is water? We've heard we come from water, but we've never seen water." And what is it? So they like travel to the big fish, and it's like, "Don't you realize it's in water that you live and breathe and have your being?" And so it was. I love to take credit for it, but it was actually one of the Jesus parables that weren't included in the Bible, because I think it was a little too revealing about the nature of what God is, rather than, you know, this single individual on the cloud with his beard and his lightning bolt ready to sort of, you know what I mean? It's like it wasn't fearful enough. So it's like, let's leave that out. That's a little too telling about how things really work, you know.
Wow, it really does speak volumes. I had no idea that that was part of the parables. I love that.
Yeah. And it's what was I going to say? There's some other ones about like what truth is and stuff like that that never made it into the Bible, but you can see why once you really grasp it. You're like, wow, this is some deep truth that never made it into the Bible, but it was too self-empowering. You know, the last thing they want is a bunch of Jesuses running around. They portray him like he's like the savior and he's something we can't attain, but he's just the opposite. He was this rebel that we should be trying to emulate. You know, he should be our role model, because he was against the religions and stuff like that, hanging out with the people that, you know, the religious leaders thought were the scum of the earth and stuff, calling the religious leaders the hypocrites and stuff. So once you really get into what Jesus said, and there's enough in the Bible itself to, you know, really understand who he was, because the religious leaders were giving him a hard time the whole time, that throughout the Bible, you know, throughout the Gospels, they were, except for the time when he was little, they were like in awe of him at 12 years old when he was in the temple or whatever. But besides that, it wasn't good stuff with him at all. It was always, they were always giving him problems, you know,
Because
kind of
they're
like
like,
we
we
deal
can't
with.
work with this. This is not going to fit into our structure of, what's the word I'm looking for, where other people are better than other people.
Yeah, like hierarchy or elitism,
Yes.
I like to think of it. Yeah. And that's sort of the problem if you think about it. It's like all of our problem, and that gets back to the separation thing we were just talking about. Because as soon as you start this hierarchical structure of these people are better, and the law of one talks about it starting with the priest, like the tribe of Levi, I think, were like the priest of the 12 tribes. They were like the priest section or whatever. And so that started the whole idea of these are the people we have to go to. And they were like the elite of the 12 tribes, you know what I mean? And you can really see like the religious leaders of today are really the elite of religion, you know,
Yeah.
and they're really in cahoots with the elite of everything else when you behind the scenes. So that's, and you know, they're really, if you think about all the money spent like at the Vatican and all those beautiful structures and everything, and then you think about all the people starving on the planet, and you think about what would Jesus have done? Would he have built these structures, or would he have fed the poor? And then you're like, well, he did feed the poor and he never built structures. So how should we be living? You know, and I think, you know, Jesus's message got turned into something completely different than what he came to deliver, you know, because it was really
I
a loving
agree.
service to others message.
I was lucky in my life to be able to have that sort of understanding. My father would speak about that often. He's like, I'm pretty sure Jesus was real, but how everything's turned out since then has not been good.
Right.
Jesus wouldn't approve. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that's right. And even people can get into specifics about even the name, and about that's not even the correct name, and that's not even true. And I've sort of had this understanding, like, okay, so perhaps Jesus wasn't his name and this isn't incorrect, but we've created collectively this sort of like cloud storage of all of us inputting info about Jesus. And so it creates an entity in a way. And so, in a way, he still is real. There's still an energy, like a cloud out there called Jesus, where we're all kind of tapped into and work with. So,
That's so true. And, I've had people say that. They're like, Jesus never existed. And you can think of the same way, because I thought this for a while when I kind of got away from religion. I thought about like the religions where, I'm trying not to set off the algorithms, but where people strap things on themselves and go in and destroy a bunch of people
mhm.
for their religion, right? I was like, even if God didn't exist, just the fact that people believe he exists and they do these things because of there being a God, even it doesn't really matter if there's a God or not. And I kind of realized the same thing with Jesus. I'm like, once you sort of get away from him being like the sacrificial lamb or the scapegoat to take away your sins, which I believe was the man-made twisting of what he really came to do, and you just see his message, it really doesn't matter if he existed or not, because the message of what he came to teach is the important thing. And if you get that, what does it matter? Because it was the message, it was what he came to represent that was the most important, not really to be like a blood sacrifice or whatever.
Oh yeah. And the message is just so simple and pure and wonderful, and no matter who or what he was, I'm really glad that that somehow has been able to maintain and persist all of this time, and people can are healing from it all over the world. So I'm really grateful for it in a way. It's and truly the oh, I'm missing the word again, where what's the word again? Where they're like there's a hierarchy is
Hierarchy,
the word.
yeah,
We've noticed how the Roman Catholic Church's hierarchy has, especially recently in this past year, really been getting knocked down. And I think I heard something about the Pope in particular planning on stepping down or something like that very soon. But we're watching this sort of structure really crumble. But it's these structures all over, all of these sort of they're just crumbling, and this one message is just the unity is just really rising. So I'm all for it.
totally. Yeah, and I think we're actually seeing, I think as a scripture says, the fruits of their work. We're actually getting to see the dirt of what they've been into rather than, and I think this really speaks volumes to the fact that we shouldn't be going to man for a connection to the divine. We should all be connecting directly to our divine part of us, however you really want to view that, whether view it as something external and like a God in heaven, like Father God, like Jesus said. And, he even said, when you pray, pray to your Father. And Jesus even said, don't call any man Father, which, it's like it couldn't be any more clear. It says, I don't know. It's all right there for anybody who wants to see it, and I don't really push it on anybody, but I just explain why, I don't go by any sort of titles anymore. Christian was the only religion I was a part of, but I don't consider myself to be any part of religion at this point. And I think, everyone needs to be on their own journey. And if that's where somebody is, I'm totally cool with that. And if they want to call themselves that, that's fine too. But I think that sort of puts you in the mindset of separateness or us and them, and that's, I feel like, is the root of all evil, if you will.
Agreed. And I was wondering if, since you're sort of transition out of religion and sort of things, you've come across um, community and ceremony, because I find that unfortunately, when we've all kind of separated from the church, we've kind of separated from community and ceremony, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to raise a vibration in a group of people. And I'm really hoping personally to see that sort of gaining traction again, because just being in a circle and drum and singing and having a good time making music, or doing a prayer for whatever, and um, grouping up once a week, even, like, I just the move away from the church, I find, it's been tough. It's been necessary, but I'm hoping to see more of those community things coming back together.
Yeah, that's really cool that you mentioned that, because I have Debbie. I saw Debbie Hazelton in here earlier. Shout out to Debbie Hazelton, but she goes to these groups that, uh, and on her channel you could see it looks like a church meeting, but it's not like church. It's like people just getting together singing songs, and they're not all like hymns and stuff. It's just like, like old Crosby, Stills and Nash songs that have a real positive
Nice.
message, and they just get together and then they have a discussion, sort of like the preacher coming up after they, do their quote unquote praise and worship service, so to speak. But yeah, it's like these communities, and we're even doing it on the weekends with the Power of 8 at 8, where we come together and we meditate together and we try to put our intentions into something positive for positive change around the world. And it's very scientific. We have been using the Lynn McTaggart book as sort of a because she does a lot of research in the area of how much our power, our intentions can really make a difference in the world. It's like scientifically proven. So we're like, wow, we need to definitely be coming together. So we do that on Saturday nights. And we've done things like, try to take down the forest fires, or try to, have disclosure with information, or we'll just put our intentions towards something, helping the light workers out with finding their path or whatever. And it's been really fun. We'll have a discussion, and then we'll come together and do like a meditation together. And you can really feel the combined energy. Even someone had a healing, like a spontaneous healing, just from joining in. It wasn't even about healing, but they'd had like this issue with I think it was their back or something, and got healed. Lady in New Zealand. So
Wow. That's so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so it really is amazing. But yeah, I totally see what you're saying about the community. That's why I think it's so great that we do these live chats, and because it is sort of an online community way of coming together and just chatting and getting to know other people. And because a lot of us are missing that in real life. As soon as you leave the church, then all your Christian friends are like, oh, they're backslid, and let's stay away from them. And you know, we don't want to have them pull us down to hell with them, sort of a judgmental way. But yeah, it's funny.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And I like that you chose the eights to do the energy work, because a lot of people do it on 11/11 on Sundays. They do a grand meditation. So, but I always liked the eights too. So I like that.
Yeah, I think in the Lynn McTaggart book, she talks about breaking into groups of 8 people. So that's why we sort of built off the title of her book. And then at 8, we do it at 8 p.m. Eastern. So Power of 8 at 8. It's sort of easy to remember. Well, if you're in the Eastern time zone anyway. But yeah, it's uh and there's a schedule for anybody that wants to know. You can go to uotf.net and you can see the schedule of upcoming shows. And I think people probably realize that I actually left a message saying that Michelle canceled Tuesday on there. So if you wonder where I disappeared to, you can definitely get on the website and keep track. I'll try to send something out. Now they've got this new feature where you can send out like messages. Have you noticed that within YouTube? So I need to
I've
start doing
seen
that.
it, like the discussion section of your channel, but it depends on how developed and how many subscribers you have and things. They'll give you more. Like some people can post photos, some people can post like polls and stuff, and I can only do text. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've
um
got all those features that you mentioned, so I didn't know I was lucky to have that.
I know I think I need to hit up to, I think it's a 10,000 subscriber count, and then they allow these features.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I saw the polls. I'm like, wonder what I can do a poll about. It's like do a poll just because I can. It's funny though. So where do you see your channel going from here? Where do you?
It's interesting because over the last, I would say, 48 hours, it's been coming more and more apparent to me that I I'm I've been sort of moving forward and not really sure what it is that I'm moving forward for, but I knew, I was growing momentum for something, and I believe what I'm being sort of groomed for and moving into is this sort of star seed community, and helping with bringing together people who resonate with, perhaps that they are wandering souls who've been to other planets and are coming here, and they don't resonate, they don't understand, they've always had a struggle fitting into this place, and they've come here for a reason, and they've come here to sort of bring their variety, their shift, their difference, and kind of bring it in there to bring more of a variety and bring a higher vibration to wherever they get placed and born. And I believe there's so many people who connect with that, and a lot of younger people too who are becoming more and more in the community. And it goes, it's definitely like, I think I'm being groomed to be able to bring these people onto the online world, but also go to them in the physical and create more um, camaraderie and collaboration and get those projects started, because a lot of these people are quite young and they have this goal and this drive and this huge intense power behind it to create change and help build structures that are resonant to be able to heal you just because of the way it's shaped, and clean up the pollution because they know they've somehow figured out or had this idea and this inspiration to do this particular thing. So my passion, I think, is going to be finding more of these people, sharing them on the online community where we are, and bridging that gap. So I'm excited to see how that's going to develop. I think in the fall, it's going to be picking it up. I'm getting the message. It's kind of like, Alexis, you just need to calm down for a minute, like keep doing your thing, but this is coming. And I'm excited to share with you and your audience and all of our audiences these really magical people who are kicking ass, honestly, and getting a lot of stuff started and done. And it's going to be really motivational, and to see that there really is a huge force moving and acting and creating to bring in these new things and this new earth that people talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Then that's sort of my underlying thing too. It's like, in a way, I
Right.
feel like we're like we're sort of first responders, if you will, like to sort of be in in a position to help make the change. And then when it sort of spills over into the greater population, we're like, hey, it's all good. We've been waiting for this. I know you thought we were crazy, but this is what's happening. And it's okay, relax, and sort of and it became more apparent to me when I saw how much we're really spread all over the place. It's like
Yes.
we're hardly we're not clustered up like a lot of things. It's like it's almost like we've been strategically placed throughout. There's a few of us in each of the major cities, and then like in between. And I think that's sort of why I wanted to get the whole online meditation stuff going, because
Mm-hmm.
you could totally see how we're creating this grid of light workers, star seeds around the planet to help pull the earth up into a higher vibration. So it's all connected. It's amazing to be a part of it.
It is. It is amazing to be a part of it. And I'm really honored that I get to do it in this role, because this is what I wanted to do. Just like you were saying, it's like I love to create this, and I love to speak, and I have so many questions, and I just love to. I'm such a cheerleader at heart too. Like I noticed you were the same way. It's kind of like, you got this. Like I'm so excited for you. You create that amazing house that makes you heal and protects you from all of the radiation, and we'll make let's get somebody to finance that, and let's create a healing center, and you over here, let's clean up the ocean. And I want to start helping to make those connections, because there's people with land and finances who want to support projects, and then there's people who only have the creative inspiration, but they don't have all of those resources. So I'm like, now it's the time to sort of help bring those people together. And I guess this is the way we're doing it, because this is where our passion has brought us.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's working. I mean, you can see the chat. I love all the hearts, you guys. Let me send you some hearts too. Such
Send
a
us.
loving group. Who was it the other day? They were like, stop spamming all the hearts and stuff. Like, man, if you don't like people spamming hearts, you're in the wrong chat, because we love hearts and rainbows and stuff here. It's just, we like to keep the chat colorful. It's just like in our nature to make things more colorful and beautiful as we go along. So
Those rainbow crystal warriors out there,
totally.
the
Shout out
aliens.
to Angel too. Yeah. He's I met Angel through he was doing a political sort of video or whatever, and it's like, man, I really resonate with this guy. He seems like a light worker. I had no idea he had this whole spiritual side to him. You know what I mean? But he was just glowing to me, and I was just so thankful that I came across him. As with everybody, I mean, here we have. Oh, Brandon, how do I not have you modded, man? Brandon Avalon is another one.
Someone mentioned that emojis are, the Mile High podcast said the emojis are powerful, and it's definitely something I've noticed too, where honestly there's so much you can portray just like in a painting with emojis, or you don't have, it's really hard to interpret an image and the feeling and the tone and things behind those things that kind of gives it more of a objective, I guess. Like it's a subjective experience, and so you can't really be an emoji as much as if you said a sentence. So I like it.
Yeah, and it is sort of a step back because we've gone from talking face to face with people to going into just like a chat room sort of a setting here where it's just text, and to add the colors and the faces and the emojis is sort of a step back towards a more personal. You can see the smile, even though it's a little yellow smiley face or the little yellow hug or hearts, and it's still a visual representation to sort of move us back towards what we're missing now that we're online and we're not actually seeing people's facial expressions and things like that. I mean, they're seeing ours, but they have to put a big smiley face in to let people know that. And I get taken wrong so many times. I'm like, I guess that did seem kind of rude if they weren't imagining me being cheerful while I said it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of times and I've had people, I'm like, I put a smiley face in there. You didn't know I was happy when I said it, like I'm not, I'm just used to talking to people face to face or whatever. But yeah, it's so hard for me to talk to people. I do most everything through email and stuff. And most of the talking I do is on this show. So it's, I know I talk so much on here. People think I'm just talking all the time, but this is really the only talking I do, which is a good thing because I get to save my voice, right?
Oh yes, save that voice.
Let's see. Yeah, emojis are connected to the energy behind them,
Totally.
and they make things more colorful. You know. Yeah, my son always looks at me like this because I say I like rainbows and stuff. I'm like, look, I like rainbows way before any kind of lifestyle, sort of hijacked or whatever. I'm like, I don't mind what they do or whatever, but I'm keeping the rainbow in my repertoire of things that I use because I love the rainbow. I love all the colors and stuff. Hey, Diane, sorry. And the UK, we got a global audience here of people. So awesome. Definitely want to subscribe to Alexis. I do have her information down below, and I did add your email. I added it in a way that the bots won't get it though. I put ascensiondiaries at in parentheses gmail dot in parentheses com. So hopefully people can swap out the at and the dot for the real at sign and the dot to
Oh,
email
I
you
didn't
if they
know
want to get a
about
hold of
these
you.
bots. I haven't had that experience yet.
You haven't had spam? Lots of spam coming
No.
through? Oh, okay. Yeah, they'll just do a search for at gmail.com and just use Google to search at gmail.com and it brings up all these pages of people's emails where they put them in like the description of a video or somewhere like that. And then they got your email to send you junk mail or whatever. You probably don't notice because they're getting really good about sending that stuff to spam automatically. I
Mhm.
mean, oh my gosh, I went to spam to look for somebody said, I sent you an email. Did it go to spam? And I went to spam and it's like a cesspool of stuff in that folder that I'm like, oh my gosh, what is all this crap in here? It's like,
Nice.
I don't even want to get into the stuff that's in there, but I'm just so glad it goes there automatically. It's so funny.
Another big thing that I think it's just kind of coming to me that was part of my sort of goal list of what I was doing is bringing more ethical, more higher dimensional businesses and companies to more of the audience and being able to support people who are making conscious decisions in their business plans and um, ethically sourced and stuff to help raise people's consciousness. I definitely want to bring more of those businesses and things into the limelight and bring them through. So if anyone is wanting to work with me on that too, I'd welcome an email and a discussion on that. I don't know if you work with any specific companies or brands that of friends of yours, but
Really, the only thing that's close to that is I work with the BQH, the Beyond Quantum Healing people. Just, but it's more because I believe in it rather than I'm trying to like do a business thing out of it or whatever. But I think we can direct people, and it's like that way. Like a lot of times, I just promote things, with no benefit to myself other than letting people
yeah.
know, hey, if you're wanting Ormus, you can get it from this person. It's not like I get a cut out of it or anything. But I just figure if she's buying it anyway, I'd rather than buy it from another starseed or light worker and help them with their endeavors. So yeah, I'm totally on board with what you're saying. And I don't need a cut out of it or anything. So a lot of times I'm just happy with like a reading, like you gave me the reading with the cards or whatever. I think it's kind of cool to just do it, but it's more for the entertainment of everybody. I appreciate it, of course, but um, I also had the Akashic reader Debbie Solaris came on and she gave me this, kind of a mini Akashic reading, and that was really cool. But I sent people to her, and I don't get like a cut out of her or anything, and I don't expect. I'm just happy to make the connections for people. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you with that. But yeah, I even thought of a business directory. That would be cool to add that function maybe to my website where people can go on there. I just don't have the time to moderate it, and I know
Yes.
it would be difficult because if you weren't keeping an eye on it, you go back and there'd be like porn sites and stuff on there that you wouldn't believe. Like I was in the web design for a while, and you would not believe the bots they have that go and find stuff like that and post the craziest stuff on there. So you really got to keep an eye on that stuff. You can't just let it go.
Fair
Kind of
enough.
set it up and let it go. You got to watch it because there'll be all sorts of stuff on there when you go back. It's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, and there's just such a variety of people with different missions coming through, and some of them are to make ormus and CBD oil and
Yeah,
pyramids and structures and buildings and technology. And I just, I can't wait to engage more with that stuff and help others do the same thing and kind of move the market in that direction, which is, we're kind of voting with our dollar right now. And I don't know how the financial system really is going to shift, but at least I know that we can shift it by just how we're spending our money and where we're putting it. And eventually it's just going to flop over into a more conscious market. I'm hoping that's just the
yeah.
law. That's how I'm seeing it so far.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great point. Helping the shift along by doing what we're talking about, just supporting other people in their endeavors and stuff. And now in this day and age, just about anything can be done online.
Hmm.
So it's like that sort of creates this global market where you don't really have to even yeah, C60 is a good one. I wish I knew somebody because I was like, I gotta try this out. And I looked up that purple power stuff and I'm like, dude, I can't afford this. Bucks for some stuff that's just it's ridiculous. It's almost like they're gouging like the whole pharmaceutical industries gouging. That's just a lot of money. Maybe it works miracles, but that's a big investment.
Yes, some of them definitely are big investments. And I'm hoping that the more popular that side of the market becomes, the more competitive the pricing will be, and you know, more supply and demand balance. But who knows? I know we're gonna watch it happen. I've been watching it go that direction, but I'm not entirely that savvy with business.
Yeah,
I'm good at trends, not so good at the financial part of it.
totally. Yeah. But I hope all that's falling away soon and
Mhm.
shifting into something that's a little more fair for everyone, just for the simple fact that we've got people starving. That's just ridiculous that we're this
It is.
advanced of a society and there's people that don't have homes. And, even if they have mental health issues, still we should be able to have buildings to have them in, you know what I mean? And not just leave people on the street starving. It's just, I don't know. I just think as where we are in our advancement as a society, it's really weird. I think if I was an outsider and sort of stumbled upon this planet, I'd be like really scratching my head at how far we've come in some parts of it, but how self-centered and service to self we are in other parts of it. It's like, maybe they don't know these people are starving over here. I don't know what I would think, but it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. And I wish I could do more, but you know, it's like, and that's how it is. Most of the people that can do something, I help what I can, you know, on an individual basis when I see people in need and things like that as much as I can. But, you know, I can't do near as much as I want to, you know. So, but I guess if everybody kind of picked up the torch, we could help on an individual basis, you know.
I think so too.
Crazy. Yay, BQH. So here we are, we're running out the hour. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we call it a day?
Okay. I guess what is something that we could talk about to finalize? I'm still sort of seeing an interesting trend with September that we're moving into, and it seems like all the readings and everything I've been looking into are talking and excited about October. And I'm like, well, what about September? We're moving into September and I don't see anything. It's almost like I feel there's some sort of veil there for my own abilities to see into the month and the future. So I am interested. I'm inclined. I'm curious. I'm like, what is going to be happening? There's going to be some interesting, unpredictable things coming, I think, this month. And uh, I look forward to it. So,
All a mystery, huh? Yeah, so September, gosh, it's hard to believe we're already getting
yes.
towards the end of the year, isn't it? I think
Hmm.
November was, you know, going to be some good stuff. Of course, that's the 11 month, and I like 11, so I'll
Yes.
have a lot of energy in it that way, just subconsciously, probably.
Hmm.
It's actually my anniversary is on the 12th, 11/12, and my mom's birthday was 11/11, which is Veterans Day. So, yeah, there's things are happening. I'm just glad I can see things are like I can visually see changes happening in a huge
Yes.
way. Some of the stuff we mentioned earlier, some of the energies and stuff, and we might have some rough times ahead of us, but all in all, it's, you know, no pain, no gain, so to speak, as they say. So, so
Agreed.
well, lots of love and light to everybody in the chat, and we'll definitely have Alexis back sometime. And make sure you go and subscribe to her channel so you can keep up to date with her. She does these great updates with. I like how you get into the Schumann resonance. And do you have that one chart to show how the geomagnetic? What was that? Was that solar wind
That was
coming in?
yes, it was the geomagnetic field was sort of cracked open. It seems like that was the understanding, the collective agreement that there was some sort of breakage in our geomagnetic field and allowed a lot of aurora and particles to kind of pierce in. And I noticed the collective consciousness. I have a graph that kind of charts that, and it was very, very steady while this was happening. So all of the whole matrix basically around our planet, the magnetics and all that, were really disturbed. And it kind of, I think it allowed a lot of things to be brought in and delivered to us. And it also allowed us to kind of have a break of the disturbance and have good connections with our peers. But I do have one image. I don't know. We're going to see if it'll show up on screen. But this was sort of what the storm looked like on the KP index. And that was on the 26th through to the 28th. So
Ah,
only
nice.
that amount of time. So that was my most exciting data that I was sharing on my channel most recently. And we're going to keep watching to see what else happens. So it's always fun to do the diary in a way where we see all of these readings and then we gather from the group how their days were and what they noticed were if there was any intense shifts or things happening. And it helps us sort of get a good, well-rounded uh, stamp on the day and continue on watching this whole like ascension sort of happen, these sort of energies coming in and doing things. So that's what I like to look at.
Yeah, it definitely helps to you know when I have a headache and I see the Schumann's like off the charts that day or whatever, I'm like, oh, that, you know, it makes sense now because I'll know that I've drank enough water. It's like I know I'm not dehydrated, yet I have this headache, and then I look and it's like pegged, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I'm like totally getting blasted right now.
Oh yeah.
It's nice
And we
to
were
be
definitely
aware.
getting blasted at the same time too. So it was like it was cool to watch. And I was just hoping everyone was just gonna be okay because I hadn't seen readings like that in a while. And I was like, I really hope everyone's not just like passing out at work and having naps, all of us sensitives out there to this stuff. Like, I know I have friends who will nearly fall asleep at work when these blasts are coming in. Like you're saying, like it's just so overwhelming. So the gravity of it almost sometimes pins you to the floor. So it's very interesting, and experiencing it myself and sharing it is kind of how I keep up the conversation about it and kind of help normalize those of us who are more sensitive to this stuff.
And that's why people need to subscribe to keep up with that. And I'm so glad you're doing that. I watch Mr. MBB 333 because he keeps up with stuff like that too. But I
Yeah.
like this whole more of the Ascension and the star seed sort of standpoint with it, because I know a lot of my viewers will totally resonate with the fact that we know we're here for some mission. We know things are happening, and it's nice to have someone that's, looking into that stuff. So wonderful to have you here, and we'll definitely have you back. Lots of love and light to everybody in the chat, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, Alexis.
Thank you.
Peace. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.